Today we're seeing locks, we're seeing new canal basins, and we're seeing a beautiful green and blue corridor stretching into the middle of a city. Welcome back to Derbyshire. I am on the Chesterfield Canal. We are walking towards Chesterfield Centre right now. We're going to start this walk today at New Lane Bridge and Wheeldon Mill Lock. And I thought I'd just start at the bottom here. You can see the overflow running down through here. Lovely little waterfall. I'm not sure if that's a stream coming in as well. There seems to be quite a lot of water running through, but there's not a lot of water running down this canal at the moment, which we will see why shortly. Let's pop up to the top though and have a little look at the lock. So in 1997, the Society completed the restoration of the Wheeldon Mill Lock. This was the last lock in Derbyshire. It was helped by the WRG groups. I'm just going to cross over here because there's a lovely sort of spillway coming over the end here. There was a duck sat on it a second ago, but he's moved, unfortunately. Always be careful if you're crossing locks, obviously. This one's got quite a nice wide path, actually. Yeah, so this is a spillway. This takes any overflow. Well, I'm wrong. There is quite a lot of water coming through here. You can see where it goes down under the lane there, and it will drop down below the lock. These gates have got 2012 on them, so I assume they either didn't put gates in when they originally restored the lock, or they've had to replace them already. It sounds a bit soon really, because it's normally about 20 to 30 years for a wooden lock. But we're going to walk up now towards a city, I think it's a city of Chesterfield, and see what's going on in the centre. There's some quite exciting happening. This is Station Road Bridge, and this was completed in the year 2000. Now, this was one of the few blockages left after a second grant was awarded to Derbyshire County Council to complete the restoration between Chesterfield and Staveley. You also had Bilby Bridge, which was built sort of in 2002, which is behind us, and this allowed navigation of the full route into Chesterfield. There's a bit of a walk now down towards Chesterfield city centre, where we're going to have a look at the plans right at that end, basically on the River Other end, to see what's going to happen. There's a few interesting things happening down there which are really going to benefit the canal. It's quite an ambitious project they've got here for the time scale. They've got the Norwood Tunnel to do, which is quite a long tunnel. Now the tunnel itself cannot be restored, but just kind of not far down from the eastern portal of the tunnel, the canal is restored and it's all running. So there are only in fact 9 miles of canal between the section at the end of here and the other end of the tunnel that need to be restored, and the trust have a plan to do it this decade. That's what I read anyway. That may be slightly wrong, but I saw 2027 and 2028. I know that's been delayed slightly because HS2 did put a spanner in the works at Staveley. There was no idea whether it was going to go ahead or not, so it wasn't the main route of HS2. It was a branch coming off to have a works, so they could repair engines and all that sort of stuff, and that was going across a canal, which you'll see in my previous video. So that left a number of delays, which hopefully now are sorted. I think it's this summer that contract for that bit of land ends with HS2, so they can actually do what they need to do there to get through. So now those delays are gone, they can start working. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and hopefully we will see a canal going through on this channel quite a lot over the next few years. It'd be fantastic to cover it, and if it does get done this decade, then fair play to them. And this can't happen without your help. So canal trusts need members to get funding. It's part of the bigger you are, the more likely you are to get these funding rounds when they come around. So please do look in the description and sign up and help them restore the rest of this canal. And then anyway, there's a couple of railway bridges here taking the obviously the railway's away from the station, which is sort of down in that direction. The railway plays a huge part in all of this canal. Further up on the Staveley Towndale section, if you see the maps from there, it was absolutely littered with railways back in the day. This one's just a sort of a steel girder type one. And this leads down then onto Tapton Lock, which is, they have a visitor centre and a little tunnel and stuff as well. We're in the centre of Chesterfield pretty much. We're not far from the train station at all, and can you hear that? This is why the canals are needed in these urban areas. This green corridor behind us is just teeming with bird life and life. You can see the fish in the canal and everything. And you've got people all over the place walking their dogs, running, cycling. It's really busy down here actually. And this is what I keep saying about the canals. They're not just for boats. They're for everybody. You've got everybody using it, the walkers, the cyclists, the boaters obviously as well, and nature. It's a perfect combination to bring these corridors through into cities and across countryside. And those nature corridors are really important when it comes to diversity in the genetics of animals. If you have isolated sections of environment, you don't get spread of genetics. If you spread that genetics over a long, straight blue and green corridor, you spread all of those animals and they breed with other islands effectively in nature. So let's take a step back into the mid-80s. Now, there was plans for a bypass further up the canal, which was going to cut the canal off. And the Canal Trust in, I think it was 1985, wrote a document basically trying to figure out the support for the trust. And in 1988, I had a meeting to see just how popular the trust was. And they get 14,000 signatures, which were handed to Derbyshire County Council, opposing the blockade of the canal. And this is Lockeford Lane Bridge, which is obviously newer, and into Tapton Lock. Anyway, so the council then gave permission for the Canal Trust to restore this lock and the visitor centre above it. So this was a chosen project because of the obviously how visible it is from the road there, and this listed building this as well. So in a year and a half, the society came along and they emptied 9 feet of mud out of here. They repaired it, fitted new lock gates, and it was reopened in 1990 on the 29th of April, and they won an award for it as well. So what's actually happening here is there was a leak from here last year, not helped by the weather. Obviously there's a lot of water coming down through here, so it was running down here and running down into the River Rother below, and you can see through here are a bunch of sort of sandbag type bits which are the wall. They have no idea exactly where the leak's coming from. It's a very probably porous sort of area, so they've dug a trench down through and they've done various repairs for it. I assume by looking at what's here as they put a clay wall in there, and the hope is that they can stop that leak, and that's it done. So this is closed and drained all the way through for that reason. So we'll jump across to the other side of there and Karen and I walk down into Chesterfield. So I'm back on the other side as close as I can get. The tunnel is just up there behind me, and here we have the River Rother. This is the first sign of it, which is where the canal now goes to. So just here you have, it's not a lock here, it's like a floodgate. So this is not designed to carry a boat up or down. It's to stop, if the river floods, is to stop the water all coming back up through the canal and flooding the canal further down. And then you've got this pretty little bridge over the top, and then you're kind of into the River Rother straight away underneath. This isn't the towpath side, but I just want to show you the winding gear and stuff over here. So much of the line was lost. The old basin was built in the centre of town, which was down by the train station. So the trust kind of have nowhere to go after this, but other than, a slight bit of navigable river. But what is happening is the Waterside project, the Chesterfield Waterside project. Now that is there to put several basins in the town, and there going to be a river link to a sort of a canal by the side of the river, which I believe has now been scrapped. But that's going to move to just a navigable river down to the basins, which gives an end point for the canal again in Chesterfield. Again, you can just see how green it is down here. It's full of wildlife. See the ducks everywhere, look, up on the wall there. So you've got like an overflow there, so the water runs back into the river rather than flooding as well, so there's another defence. And what you can already see here is the start of the whole development. So they wanted to build a big warehouse on there, B&Q warehouse, I believe it was. And I think it's the Canal Trust petitioned the council to not just build a massive ugly warehouse next to the canal, and to actually open it up to housing shops, restaurants, pubs, as well as to canal basins and that as well. So these houses were built because of that, and it's a much prettier backdrop for the canal than the massive construction of a warehouse. So the land both sides of the river is due to be developed. This side obviously hasn't started yet. It's small warehouses and stuff, but this side has, and the link, if it was built, would have run through those houses. It would have started a bit further back where we were talking a minute ago, and then carried on down through. The plan is for 1,500 houses, 30,000 square metres of office, business and industrial space, shops, restaurants and leisure uses as well. And it sits on what was the old Bassett factory site. Now a canal needs a destination, otherwise without a destination it's not going anywhere, and people won't go down the canal. So having this basin here does help. You can't really see a lot here at the moment. The basins have been cut out, they're ready to go, and they're just prepping the land and getting ready to build on here. Obviously part of the development has started further down and is continuing up through here. I think they're still building the houses on the end actually, but the hope is very soon you'll have boats coming up to here and up to the bridge that we got here. There's no navigation beyond this point, I don't believe. There will be boats in the river. Now that'll help with the river as well. A lot of cleaning up of the river and stuff, which is a massive benefit. Yeah, it's very shallow here, you can see, so there's no way it's going to be coming up beyond this point here. So thanks for watching, have a great day.